Now on to what is my second most anticipated conference of E3, Sony. They have had some pretty big hitters over the past few years, but how do they fare this year? With their lineup, I would say that Sony deserves a 4.9 out of 7, only a touch below Microsoft. I know the score seems kinda odd, but let me discuss on it through this recap. Something I'd like to touch on before we get too far into discussion, the location. The press conference first began in a tent which correlated to the first game they showed. Then after that first game trailer, everyone moved to the actual presentation room and finished the rest there. While I think this was an interesting idea, I can't say it was very professional. The gap between the first and the second game was more than I would have liked to wait for. They had this little booth that kept us occupied while the transfer was happening, but it still bothered me. This is something I hope they don't do again next year, as it seems like a lot of work for little significance or reward. Anyways, on to the actual games. They had a short performance of a man on a banjo in preparation for the first game, Last of Us 2. We got a glimpse of Ellie growing up in her new relationship. However, there was really jarring cut to gameplay that kinda confused me. Regardless, most of what was shown was combat, the stealth, and the AI. It was obvious that most of it was scripted because a lot of what happened seemed too linear. Nevertheless, the game ran well and the graphics were impressive. After the combat ended, it went back to the tent scene and the trailer ended. Quite abrupt, but I still felt like I got a good amount out of the trailer. Apologies, but I will not go in depth on the games they talked during the break, but the games were Black Ops 3, Tetris Effect, Days Gone, Twin Mirror, Ghost Giant, Beat Saber, and Destiny 2. Not too long afterwards, they got back to the presentation and revealed Ghost of Tsushima. This game really blew me away, honestly. The gameplay shown was very convincing because all of it was presented through the normal camera angle rather than cinematic shots. The game in general was so pretty and it was obvious a lot of polish went into the world. Another really interesting feature about the game was the combat, as it had many slowdown moments that allowed you to react to enemy attacks. More importantly, when you get a sneak attack on an enemy, it seemed you could do a chain attack where you could attack the nearest enemy and this could be continued. Also, the scene at the end was pretty breathtaking where you fight your ally during a sunset as a rain of flaming arrows falls onto the battlefield. Out of all the new games shown at this press conference, this caught my attention the most and for good reason. Next was Control, another newly announced game. The most I could gather from a trailer is a woman has force powers and the combat and puzzle solving elements revolve around this. Not too much story-wise, but it looked interesting. Then another new announcement and a huge bombshell, a remake of Resident Evil 2. It featured a short bit of gameplay among the cinematics showing how much the game has improved graphically. The game was said to be in development back in 2015, but this is the first we've seen of their progress. This is a pretty popular game among Resident Evil fans, so this game will retain hype for a good while, I would imagine. Next was Trover Saves the Universe. This is apparently a game directed by the Rick and Morty co-creator, and the similarities are pretty clear. It's a type of action platformer, but that's all we know. Looks bubbly and humorous, but not enough was shown to excite me. Following that, another Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. Though this time it's pretty different compared to the others, as it went into more story bits and had a large focus on the returning Pirates of the Caribbean world. And off topic, but wow, there's a huge difference in graphics when it comes to the faces in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. I guess that's what a 10-year gap will do. Also, a Kingdom Hearts package that includes 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, and 3 will be available. So you can get your taste of the entire Kingdom Hearts library when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally releases next year. Though it's worth mentioning that this is PS4 only. Afterwards, we finally got some gameplay and cinematics on Death Stranding. Interestingly enough, most of the game looks like it'll be travel rather than a lot of combat. There are also stealth sections where you'll have to dodge the weird creatures looming about. Some story was shown in the trailer, but it didn't make me any less confused about what the hell this game is about. Perhaps Kojima will make a statement soon about the game. Neo 2 got announced and that was it. A bit of graphical flair was shown, but as far as I'm concerned, no gameplay or plot was elaborated on. Finally, we got another glimpse of the best superhero, in my opinion, Spider-Man. We got some really juicy gameplay bits as Spider-Man punched, kicked, and webbed his way through tons of enemies. Speaking of enemies, Electro, Rhino, Scorpion, and Vulture were all revealed as featured villains. The other gameplay bits featured a lot of web swinging and some neat QuickTime events. Towards the end of the trailer, Spider-Man gets the snot kicked out of him. When all hope seems lost, a glowing figure appears, and we don't know who it is. I'm sure huge comic buffs already have the answer, or at least a good idea, but hey, I'm just ready for that web swinging, wall climbing action. The game is still slated to release later this year, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. And there you have it, Sony's press conference. I have to say, I expected more trailers and features for games like Spyro the Reignited trilogy and Monster Hunter World. But what we got was pretty good. Now, the reason I rated Sony just below Microsoft is the fact that Microsoft had a much larger showing of games, even though not all of them were exclusive. But I was more interested in all the Sony exclusives, though at that point it's personal preference. I can't deny Microsoft's really great conference, and though Sony's was alright, I'd be lying if I said it didn't fall short. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment on what you thought of Sony's presentation this year. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you'd like to see more content. See y'all next time. Bye bye!